Welcome to the recorded lecture of week 3 of the course Culture of the Middle East in the Cinema. Today the lecture is about cultural hegemony. The concept cultural hegemony was coined by a Marxist philosopher, an Italian Marxist philosopher by the name of Antonio Gramsci. Perhaps you find the fact that it's a Marxist idea disturbing, but whether you are a long-haired hippie rebelling against anything that comes your way, or you're a blue-suited capitalist that is doing your best to organize the world properly, this concept is a very important one, because what it talks about is how people are controlled without force. So whether you want to rebel or you want to control, this concept is certainly useful. The Marxist background of the concept cultural hegemony does not only mean that you will mostly encounter Marxist scholars that talk about it, and there are many of those. It also means that the concept builds on a Marxist idea, not necessarily the Marxist ideology as a whole, but an idea, actually not even an idea, but a fact. The fact is that those who are doing most of the work at the root of the production process, and who are also the majority of the population, are not the managers, but the working class, people of low class. These people, the working class, are the soft matter, the replaceable ones in capitalist ideology. But in Marxist ideology, they are the focus. But regardless of the ideology, the fact is that the majority of the people are the low classes. They are the ones who are doing the actual work, and therefore they are the ones that keep the world going, be it the industrial work, the agricultural work, the cooking and cleaning work, or the zero contract work of bringing pizzas to people's homes in the evening on their bikes. So they are very important, and without them, the world cannot continue. However, they are the weakest. They don't have the means, let's say the money, nor the power to decide on their lives and, for example, on their work conditions. The question is then, why do they not complain? Why do they not refuse to comply with their superiors, or rather oppressors? After all, they are the ones who could have power by the mere fact that there are so many of them and that their role is so crucial for society. The reason they do not rebel is because they themselves think, agree, and accept that this is how things should be. They think of themselves as not deserving any better. They say to themselves, I'm young, or I'm not educated, so other people have the right, or other people have the power to demand this from me, to demand this type of work from me, to give me these conditions. Even if they are not happy about it, about how things are happening, the oppressed ones, they do accept the situation. They do think that this is how things always work. The reason why they don't rebel is where culture comes into the play. These statements, or rather this inner speech, I'm still young, or I'm uneducated, or others have the right for some reason, these statements are culture dependent. In some cultures, certain people have the power, like shamans, priests, men, etc. In others, they don't have the power. And I'm not referring here to their personality, to their psychology, to the individual power, such as having charisma. People with charisma or great personality or very good looks, which is also culture dependent, will always have more social power than others. In some aspect, this is also cultural. But a boss is always the boss, even if they have zero personality, because they are the ones who have the social authority to decide on salaries, workload, advancement, and conditions, etc. That is, their social role gives them this power, and it is the culture which gives them this social role. So how does culture do this? Culture can do this because culture is everywhere. Culture is in institutions, such as school, media, or any institution that is supported by the regime. This is obvious. But culture is also beyond official and non-official institutions. Every person that you meet from your culture enacts to you your own culture. And by this, they show you how you should behave, and you show this to them. Every person that you meet that is foreign to your culture shows you, with their different behavior, what your culture is in opposition to theirs. Every house that you see, every room that you see, every social meeting, every object from your culture teaches you again and again and again what are the values of your culture. And this means not only what is acceptable, but also what is not acceptable. This is also part of your culture. This knowledge is part of your culture. We are exposed to this from birth. We are told about it in our immediate family, and we learn officially and unofficially from things and people. And we do the same, that is, we behave in one of the possible ways to behave in our culture to others as well. The fact that everything in our surrounding, official and unofficial, forces us into certain behaviors and values by constantly showing us what is possible is the natural way things happen. This is normal. This is the normal way that culture works everywhere, all over the world, and all the times, since prehistory. But what the concept cultural hegemony emphasizes is not only that cultural hegemony is everywhere, but also it points out to the fact that the set of values and the set of possible behaviors that we learn about our culture is the one that supports those who already have the power. However, this is also normal. It makes sense that the people with power will do their best to keep their power, even though all of our ideologies say that it should not be the case. But for us scholars and for us people, whether we have the power or not, it is good to know how things work. So this is my take, my explanation of cultural hegemony, which is less political than the usual approach to it. I present it not only with regard to the working class and political power, but in the context of culture as a whole. I also do not call for political action, and I do not present cultural hegemony as the utmost evil. But I see this process as a process that is happening all the time. That is, any group in power would behave in the same way, or else it would lose its power. I'm disconnecting the discourse about cultural hegemony from our common ideology, which says that cultural hegemony should not happen. I'm also not saying that cultural hegemony is good. I think, as I said, that it is a very basic and common cultural process. We might want to resist this or that cultural hegemony and try to change how our society behaves, but I find that resisting the process itself makes as much sense as resisting natural forces. Those who usually present cultural hegemony as the absolute evil are, in fact, those interested in introducing their own ideology as the controlling power instead of the existing one. So now it is time for your assignment. The assignment today has two parts. This is the first one. Watch the presentation by Dr. Masoud Raja, which is around 8 minutes long, and answer this question. What is the difference between dominance and hegemony? The second question is, Masoud Raja talks about cultural hegemony in the framework of colonialism. that is the authority of one country and culture over another country. What is the difference between regular hegemony and colonial hegemony according to Dr. Masoud Raja? The third question is, of which countries are the flags behind Dr. Masoud Raja in this clip? This is the end of the first part. And here's the second part of the assignment. Watch the film Strangers by Guy Nativ and Aristide Moore, which is around 8 minutes long, and answer, do you think this film accepts or resists prevailing cultural hegemony? Submit your answers to the assignment in the assignment button below the lecture. On the Nestor page, you can add this one to the previous questions or upload a different file. The deadline is the 26th of September at midnight.